right here, sit down, right there, don't go nowhere, little baby gon' shake that, 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 shit, yeah, I like that, bring that, right here, sit down, right there, don't go nowhere, say yeah, I like that, bring that, right here, sit down, right there.
Yo, what up, YouTube? We back with another video, another Justified by Jury video. The unfortunate demise of Dino from H-Town. I may have heard of this man before. We're going to see when we get into it.
Previously on Justified by Jury.
But I love y'all. Let's keep going on. I love y'all. Congratulations, ladies. Fuck the Cleopatra.
Thank you.
Before y'all leave, y'all need to give a shout out to these boys that came before y'all. G.I., Dino, and Shazam.
Everyone has unique God-given talents, and every now and again there comes a talent that is so great and shines so bright it's almost bigger than the group that showcased it. But like a shooting star, it would be gone just as quickly as it appeared. Such would be the case for Dino, a member of the platinum-selling R&B group H-Town, whose powerful, soulful voice made him one of the greatest vocalists to come out of Houston, regardless of recognition or lack thereof. You're watching Justified by Jury, and in Chapter 6 of the Unfortunate Demise series, we will detail his coming up alongside his brother, the formation of the group H-Town, their many hits and misses, and an untimely senseless series.
Who did the choreography? Bro, this ass.
We will detail his coming up alongside his
This is horrible choreography.
brother, the formation of the group H-Town, their many hits and misses, and an untimely, senseless situation that silenced such a powerful voice forever.
God.
Just a side note, this is H-Town, and they are known for their sensual, baby-making material, and we're unapologetic about it. So, we're gonna be talking about some things in this video that might be too explicit for some of you prudes out there. So if you're a holy roller or a saint without sin, it's best you exit stage left as we get into his story. Born Delando Connor on November 18th, 1974 in Houston, Texas, going by Dino for short, he and his older brother Solomon were born just 11 months apart, making them Irish twins, which refers to a mother having two children who were born less than a year apart. Though the two weren't biological twins, they were so close in development and in image that for all intent and purposes they were brought up as twins, and often
I mean, damn near is twins. Look at them. They hair even drooped the same way.
referred to one another as such, and anyone they met, they'd tell, yeah, he's my twin. They grew up in the 4th Missionary Village, which was a tough neighborhood on the south side of Houston, and as products of their environment, they began to get involved in gang activity long before they were teenagers. Eventually, their mother would send them to live with their grandmother in Sunnyside, somewhat of a better area, to keep them out of mischief, because they were good kids.
Yo, who drew that picture? That picture's dope.
But they were easily influenced by whatever was around them, and at their grandmother's, they would watch their uncles, who were in a band called Prodigy, rehearse in the garage. They played all kinds of music from jazz to rock and roll, and would travel locally, opening up for groups such as Confunction and Cameo. After seeing this, the boys quickly realized that there was more opportunity in music, and would begin to tape record themselves practicing their singing, and got pretty good at it. They would soon form a trio with another friend of theirs, with Dino going by his name and Solomon going by Silky Smooth. All three would attend Jack Yates Senior High School. Also at the school was a classmate of theirs named Daryl Jackson, who was a popular DJ known as Daryl D, and did rapping on the side where he was known as G.I. He also grew up in the same rough neighborhood as the boys. One day, a substitute teacher of theirs announced that her husband just so happened to be Phil Blackman, a popular producer in the area, who was holding auditions for musical talent.
Like, bro, how does this happen? That sounds like the most random I ever heard in my life. A substitute teacher was at the school, and her husband was a producer. What if they went to class that day? Like, that's crazy how life works.
Seeing that this was their big shot, the three boys would gear up to go to the audition to show off their singing, and so would G.I. to show off his rapping talents. But shortly before the audition, their third member got caught up and was arrested for selling substances. So the boys showed up without him.
The audition, the guy was like, well, I'm not looking for a duo and I'm not looking for a rapper. Y'all need to find a third member. So our third member was more like, you know, had went to jail. So we were like, well, what about G.I.? You know, TLC had blew up then and left out was the rapper. So we was like, well, maybe G.I. could be more like the rapper of the group. But then G.I. was like, nah, I can sing too. So then we harmonized and go, oh, okay, the harmony is good. So then that's how we kind of formed.
According to an interview with Vibe Houston, initially Phil said he'd have rehearsals for just Dino and Solomon, who had changed his stage name to Shazam at this point. But G.I. was determined to be part of the group by any means necessary. They said the boys would be trying to run to catch the bus for rehearsals and G.I. would sprint after them. Like, nah, y'all gotta take me with you. And desperate for a third member, after a while they figured, hell, he wanted it that bad, let's put him in a group. So they would come together.
But every group gotta have a dark skin. Come on, man. Dark skin supremacy.
And would go on to release their debut album, It's No Dream, in the fall of 1990, with Shazam as the lead singer, as he had an amazing falsetto. The boys were 14 to 15 years old at the time, and the light-sounding voice was in. Of course you had Michael Jackson, but also Ralph Tresvant had just went solo with Sensitivity, and Tevin Campbell was breaking onto the scene with the hit Tomorrow with Quincy Jones. This sound greatly influenced the group's direction sonically for the first album, which was produced by Blackman and had the single A Time for Us.
And just because the time is right to spend the night, and I need your touch.
Now,
books change people's lives.
Something I've written never changed your life?
Absolutely. My dining room table was wobbly as hell.
Oh my God.
Back ass.
Now, even though the group wasn't yet going by the name H-Town, the album wouldn't be sold outside of H-Town city limits and was a commercial flop. But the trio weren't defeated, and they continued to do talent shows and spots here and there before linking up with Bishop Burrell, a producer known
That nigga like Michael Blackson
as Stick, who also worked with one of their uncles back in the day. After hearing them sing, he noticed just how much Dino's voice had improved, and in the coming months, the sound in male R&B had become more of a heavier, soulful tune, with the rise of singers like Aaron Hall from Guy and Johnny Gill Jr. from New Edition dominating the R&B scene. So the new sound of the Gents would center around Dino as the lead singer, and Shazam still showcasing his falsetto skills throughout many of the song's breakdowns, and G.I. holding down the harmonies, and Burrell would produce a sample from Zappin' Roger.
Damn, they ain't let G.I. rap none?
That would also be used in Tupac's Keep Your Head Up. But wanting to make it a slow, grinding love song, he needed some lyrics to go along with it, and Dino and the boys would get together writing the song that would go on to be titled Knockin' the Boots, which, if you don't know what that means, I want you to
I think I have heard of H-Town now. Yeah, I think I heard the song.
envision what you think it means. Burrell would also write the song Lick You Up for the group, but neither song would be recorded just yet because the boys were only 16 at this point and felt like the subject matter wouldn't be well received from audiences until they were 18. In the meantime, they got a new manager named Patrick Johnson, who was connected to Luke Skywalker.
That was stupid. So you sat on 2 hits for 2 years. It's dumb. How would they know they're 16? Who would know unless you tell them?
Who was the hype man and producer of the group 2 Live Crew, which was known for its lewd and raunchy lyrics in the group's music, as well as other explicit music he did with other hip-hop acts. This led to Luke having clashes with radio not wanting to play his records, and with him looking to expand his brand, Pat knew that the Gents would be a hit for Luke, and he sent their demo to Luke, but Luke wasn't all that impressed. But Pat was like, nah man, you need to hear these dudes sing live, man. So when Luke was in Houston, Pat purposely gave Luke the wrong flight time, and instead of taking him back to the airport to fly out, he instead took him to the studio, and after hearing the boys sing, he was ecstatic. Not necessarily a fan of their wholesome songs, but he was enamored with their wholesome songs.
Like wholesome songs is crazy, brother. Ew.
Like Lick You Up and Knockin' the Boots, and saw the boys as the R&B version of him, still lewd and raunchy. He knew that the radio might not have played his hip-hop stuff, but they for damn sure would play the R&B joints. He would sign the group to his label, Luke Records, right away, but would change their name to H-Town, a nickname he had previously given them anytime he dealt with them since they were from Houston. The boys at this point were dirt poor and had holes in their clothes and shoes, so Luke would fly them out to Miami, clean them up, and put them through artist development.
I see you, Unc.
And on March 11th, 1993, they would drop Knockin' the Boots as the lead single, and it skyrocketed to the top of the R&B charts for 4 weeks. It peaked at number 3 on the Hot 100 for 7 weeks, and also charted in Australia and in Europe. The song itself would go on to be certified platinum, making H-Town the first act out of Houston to sell over 1 million copies. Also going platinum was the group's album, released the following month, titled Fever for the Flavor. Production was handled by Burrell and John Swift. It peaked at number 16 on the Billboard 200 and number 1 on the top R&B albums chart. The sudden overnight success proved to be too much to handle for the twins, who were still finishing up their senior year of high school. So they would be pulled out, and Luke would have them finish out their schooling by mailing in their work. In the meantime, H-Town would get right to work doing endless promo shows for different stations to satisfy the heavy demand from the public, who were amazed at mostly Dino's vocal talents.
Give me some good love, yeah. Check this out. I feel so good when I'm near you. That's so I always wanna be close to you. I'm so addicted, baby, to making love all night long. No,
But beyond the talent was the group's image of being sex symbols, and they would release Lick You Up as the second single, which didn't get much radio play because the radio simply couldn't air some of the vulgar lyrics at the time.
Right.
But the fans themselves were loving every bit of it, and as the group's popularity grew, many of the shows began to get freakier with slow grinding, as many fans wanted to see something short of male stripping, basically. Some of the group's performances would be shut down early by law enforcement for becoming too hot to handle and too cold to hold. By now, the group couldn't go anywhere without women chasing them out of restaurants, airports, shopping malls, and even attempting to break into their hotel rooms.
Hold on, they still 16 at this time? All of y'all going to jail. All of y'all are going to jail. Shit, statutory.
Every woman wanted to be with them, and every man wanted to be them. And I can see why. I mean, don't get me wrong now. G.I. had his own thing going on. But if I looked like either Shazam or Dino and could sing like either one of them, man, you couldn't tell me nothing. I wouldn't shut up singing. I wouldn't even want to hear nothing because you could not tell me nothing. God knew what he was doing by not blessing me with those looks or that talent. Because I would have went buck wild, just saying. But yo, with all the admiration also came jealousy and envy. Shazam said it got bad at one point where they couldn't go anywhere in Houston because of player haters who were jealous and wanted to hurt them because they came up. They would get threats of people
Like, them nigga lame. Bruh, telling you. First and foremost, I should have got them straight up out of Houston. Because you know niggas be hypnotized by hatred. Boozy voice.
saying they would ruin the boys' career or were going to rob them if they came around these parts. The same parts that they had grown up in. It's sad because it really be your own before it's anybody else. You know, crabs in the bucket mentality. Though the group was also confused as to just what these people were going to rob them for. Because according to them, Luke had given each member a weekly stipend of only $160 each for food and purchases. So the boys got smart, and after some shows, they would literally sell the clothes off of their backs for $100 a piece, just to make up the differences. They would release the single, Keeping My Composure, which did less than the previous single, which had done less than the first single. But before long, they would join the Coca-Cola tour with Shy, SWV, and Silk, and they were a huge hit on tour. They ended the year off with a Christmas compilation, last single from their album called Baby I Wanna, before appearing on the Above the Rim soundtrack with their smash hit Part-Time Lover.
Oh, that's crazy. Definitely heard of them because I done seen Above the Rim too many times.
Which was produced by Devontae Swing of Jodeci. And the group would go on to win Best New R&B Soul or Rap New Artist at the 1994 Soul Train Awards, which the group saw as just as good as winning a Grammy Award.
First of all, we'd like to thank God, Luke Records, Luther Campbell.
We'd like to give thanks to Hatter, Patrick Johnson, my mom and dad, my grandmother.
All our fans up there.
We all also like to thank Luther Campbell and all the groups out there that supported us, Silk and Jodeci, Intro, and everybody else, DRS.
And our producer Stick in the house.
And I still producer Stick. Peace. And we want to say this to y'all, peace. Give me some good love.
The group had officially made it and put the city of Houston on the map. However, many fans back home wondered, hey, if
Yo, they really look like twins. It's like throwing me low-key.
If y'all are so successful, why are y'all's moms still in the same apartments in the 4th Missionary Trenches? The boys wondered the same thing. Plus, they themselves had no permanent residence, so once their tour wrapped up, they would be right back up in the 4th Missionaries with their mothers. So they pleaded with Luke, and he would use his mortgage company to buy them each a house in an upscale neighborhood to make peace and tie them over till the release of their next album.
I feel like Luke was on dirt. Go ahead.
Okay, man, what can I do? You know, let me just buy these guys a house.
For the recording process, the group also demanded money up front.
I mean, you could also just give them the money that they earn from having platinum. You know what?
And Luke said, alright, I'll bless y'all with about $500,000 for the project. But I gotta deduct your debt payments from the money that I give you. What debt payment, you might ask? Well, of course, the houses that he had bought the boys. You see, even though his mortgage company covered the cost, it was his liability. So he figured that since the group hadn't sold any new records at this point, he didn't know whether he was going to get a return on his investment. The sophomore album Jinx was a real thing in the 90s and 2000s, where people were afraid that your second album wasn't going to do anywhere as good as your first album. So many people didn't know if H-Town could bring it on the second go round. Nevertheless, the sophomore album titled Beggin' After Dark would be released on November 8th, 1994. However, this time around, there was a new team up at Luke Records, and they mishandled much of the promotion of the project's singles. In total, 6 singles would be released, but only 2 of them would make waves on the chart.
Yeah, bro. Let's mess up. So now you owe us. Sounds about right.
Backseat with No Sheets, another baby-making anthem, was a fan favorite and managed to reach number 18 on the R&B charts. And Emotions, which would become the album's biggest hit, charting at number 11 on the R&B charts and number 51 on the US pop charts, also won fans over. The thing that many brothers could appreciate about this single is that for once, it was okay for a man to showcase his emotions, and women still love and adore him for it, and not take it as a sign of weakness. And the song was among the first of which Dino himself would co-produce, as he had already co-written much of the album's material and wanted to get more hands-on with the production side of things.
Smart.
In all, he would co-produce 3 of the 18 tracks, getting more creative control slowly but surely. The album went gold and sold over 800,000 copies to date, which ain't bad, but not as good as the first album. And when it was time to tour, the label had also cut back on the group's budget, as Luke Records as a whole had been facing a multitude of different lawsuits by different parties for different reasons. Either way it went, H-Town felt as though Luke was allowing his problems.
Well, I feel like I need a breakdown on what Luke Records was doing. This man, it's probably a trash business, man. Like, what?
To become their problems. Tired of being controlled, the group would appear on BET Video Soul in jail suits with shackles and chains, making the statement that Luke Records was holding them back and they wanted freedom from the contracts and full creative control over their music, marketing, and funding.
Yeah, that's not how that works. And then you trying to embarrass this man on national television and you think he's not going to take that personal even if it is just business? You should have talked to somebody with a PR firm before you decided to do this.
And then on second album, people was like, hey man, H-Town, what's up with you? You know, when y'all got a new album coming up, and then ask people that know, say, man, you know, I saw your new video, but they ain't playing it, man. What's up, man? It's like y'all fell off.
Really?
Luke was understandably furious with the group, as it really hurt him in the midst of his legal adversity. But the group had been under his reign for so long, with little payout financially, the last thing they cared about was Luke's image.
Right.
Fool, where my money at? Things would take a complete 180 and the group would snag another soundtrack hit, this time for the film A Thin Line Between Love and Hate, which was directed and co-written by Martin Lawrence, who knew H-Town from when they would come to the set of his TV show, Martin. So his people reached out to H-Town and asked if they could do a cover of the Persuaders hit of the same name for the film, and they agreed, but only if Roger Troutman was allowed to produce it. And so he did, and he added Shirley Murdoch to the track, which went on to become a top 10 hit on the R&B charts, and top 40 on the pop charts, thrusting H-Town back into the limelight once again and letting the public know, hey, we ain't fell off, we still here. And by now, Luke was tied up in so much litigation that he had to file for bankruptcy. This meant that the group was up for grabs, and to avoid
And so are the houses. What the hell?
unwillingly being bought out by just anyone, the group would buy back their namesake and shop around to different labels for a new deal. And they were in high demand, so they received loads of offers. But Relativity Records offered them a deal the boys could not refuse. $1 million per member up front, full creative control on their next album, and 50% of their masters. Relativity was banking everything on this one, since, like Luke, they were mostly a hip-hop label looking to branch into R&B. So the boys went to town and went to the bank. 3 years in, and H-Town was still in demand and still being chased everywhere they went. With women, they had a plethora of options at all times, and Dino himself didn't discriminate, as he loved all flavors of ice cream. And one woman in particular, Jessica Ditzel, had her sights set on becoming Dino's main chick. Now, Jessica was fine back in the day. I don't care what nobody say. However, it can be argued that some, not all, but some women of Jessica's caliber ain't really feeling a brother unless he got notoriety or money. In any case, she struck the jackpot with Dino, who had looks, talent, and a $3 million deal. But it would be a catch-22 for Jessica, as Dino, being a superstar who was a sex symbol, had women throwing themselves and their underwear at him everywhere he went.
Well, duh, you want to be with an R&B superstar and he hot, right? It's stupid. Like if you wanted somebody who couldn't do all of this, you should have got a regular nigga. What you talking about? I can't feel sorry for you. You know what he was before you ever tried to get with him. You're crazy.
And at 21, 22, and 23 years old, them boys were definitely not ready to settle down. They just weren't. Still, Jessica would become his leading lady, and the pair would give birth to a beautiful girl named Kaja Rose in 1996. And when I tell you she looks just like Dino, y'all, he basically spit her out. That's his child, ain't no denying. So with this love and appreciation for women and girls, especially after becoming a father to one, he didn't want the group to be singing about sex all the time. Also, the birth of his child brought him closer to God, and he wanted the album to reflect where the group was spiritually. So when it was time to record the new album, titled Ladies Edition, Woman's...
God damn it, Dino. We could have at least dropped one more raunchy album before you decided to do this, but what?
World. The group would center the theme around men loving and cherishing women, and even showing remorse for any past transgressions that involved men abusing or objectifying women, with songs like Don't Sleep on a Female, Woman's World, Julie Rain, and Ways to Treat a Woman. They dedicated this album to Nicole Brown Simpson.
Never mind, great timing. He's a genius. He's a marketing genius.
Who at the time was a recent victim of homicide at the hands of someone who didn't do it. And they also dedicated the album to all the women of the world. 20 different national women's telephone helplines were also listed on the back cover of the album. This time, Dino had full production credit on all of the songs. With all three members as songwriters and composers, this album was truly his baby, and he felt proud of the body of work that the group had came up with. However, when they brought the album to the label wasn't feeling it at all.
Duh, bro, the label only promotes certain things. Bush, and bush. Oh, you want to uplift people? But this ain't no damn gospel record. Like, that's what they own, bro. It's the music industry, bro. They don't like the positivity, bro. You got to be killing people.
The president was like, come on, dudes. You guys are H-Town, man. Where's the lust? Where's the lick you up and down? Where's the let me drink your bathwater? You know, all the nasty, raunchy things you guys are known for. You know, the whole reason why we forked out millions for you guys in the first place. So they would go back into the studio and record a song that was sensual in nature but still very respectful, called They Like It Slow, which is my all-time favorite by them, man. My all-time favorite. One thing I love about H-Town, man, is the message in their music, man. They be dropping nuggets of knowledge for the fellas. Many dudes be thinking you gotta jackhammer your woman into ecstasy every time. Nah, you gotta slow it down sometimes, man. Get a nice rhythm going. Make sure she's in sync with that rhythm. Just react to her body, man. That'll get you right every time.
I'm not on my parents' health insurance anymore, and I work for myself doing a bit of everything. So I found a plan for just $34 a month.
All plans cover doctor visits, prescriptions.
The label would hear it and would be overjoyed. Like, man, okay, this is what we're talking about. This is what we needed. And they would release it as the lead single on September 23rd, 1997. It would climb to number 35 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 12 on the R&B charts. The album would be released on October 28th, 1997. And like the lead single, it would also climb
That fit G.I. got on is trash.
to the number 12 on the R&B albums chart and sell over 500,000 copies, going gold. The group would later release the music video for Natural Woman, which showcased an appreciation for women's beauty, and they would shout out certain female singers like Aaliyah and Selena, and even TLC. However, though many fans loved the album, many women felt a bit overwhelmed with all the lovey-dovey, let me put you on a pedestal vibes that the album gave. And a big
What you want? What you want to treat you like sluts? What else? I don't understand. What more do you want from me? Like, bruh.
part of the reason is because of who the group were.
I don't know that.
That's cute. When they were 16, like what?
Fans want to dive into a charitable role after you've just told us to knock boots and lick it up. No, just lick me up or knock my boots.
You see, some women associated H-Town with hot and raunchy, but just that alone. You know, kind of like the side dude that they call when they need to get dominated and thrown around, get them walls shaken up, before they return to their hubby who works the 9 to 5 and pays the family bills. But when the side dude starts professing love and admiration, that's when the ladies gotta cut him loose.
It's an evil world we live in.
The president,
boy, clearly evil world we live in. Like, bruh, you try to, you know what? I'm not even getting into it. This ain't no damn red pill channel. That's some bullshit.
of the record label would hit the guys up and be like, yo, so Like It Slow was nice, but the general public ain't vibing with the rest of the material. Look, you guys had your time to experiment and it was fun, but now it's time to get back in the studio and go back to the basics. H-Town is known for freaky. Give us
These are some trash ass fits.
that and look, you guys had your time to.
What the f is that? It's on his shoulder. What is this? What is this?
Experiment and it was fun, but now it's time to get back in the studio and go back to the basics.
That fit is garbage. Garbage.
H-Town is known for freaky. Give us that and we'll throw in an additional $2 million to jumpstart the project. How does that sound? And before any of the other members had a chance to say anything, Dino would grab the phone and was like, either you promote this album for what it is, or you won't get another album from H-Town, period. And slam the phone.
Yeah, no, I would have hopped dead back into the freak bag. Bro, what? A $2 million? I could crank out some freaky hits real quick and still promote the, you know. Like, bro, the label not listening to the music for real. They're dumb. There's no way.
Phone down on the president of the label, y'all. Now, Shazam and G.I. were like, bro, what you doing? As his decision was messing with their pockets. But for Dino, it was all about the principle of the matter, and he was done with being controlled. Either the group and the project was going to get the respect he felt it deserved, or nothing at all. Now, Relativity's offer is only good if all three members sign, and as the most integral member of the group, Dino was essentially calling the shots at this point. In the meantime, the group would still do live shows to promote the current singles out, but after no apparent answer from the label on the matter at hand, Dino stopped appearing at live shows, which put the group in breach of their contract. Before too long, they would be dropped from the label. And I hated that they never had a chance to release any more singles from that project, man. Like,
bruh, nobody's bigger than a program. Unless you know how to make your own program. There's no way that you just thought, yeah, bruh, the label gonna respond to this. We the hottest thing out. Like, bro, that's not how that works. Like, unless you had a backup plan to already start, you know what I'm saying? Unless you was already shopping yourself secretly to different labels, which would have been hard to do because almost all these labels know each other. But unless you was doing that, bro, there's no way that you thought you was gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna stand on business and they gonna respect it. They don't gotta respect it, nothing. As soon as you don't show up, you're getting cut. And then if I'm petty, you now owe us. That $3 million was in advance. You're cooked. Like what?
Isabel, which was a B-side to one of the singles, but I think that joint deserved a video, man. It and a few other songs kind of gave off the same vibes as Pac's Brenda's Got a New Baby. G.I. would go into production for other artists, and Shazam would embark on a solo venture of his own. But 1998 would mark the beginning of a downward spiral for Dino, who was described by those close to him as charismatic, loving, and a prankster. He did have a bit of a temper at times, but always came back around. But he had now become cold, distant, and angry with the ways of the world, and the demands placed on him by those.
And also had sideburns. Like, bro, we're not gonna speak on these whack ass sideburns. Trash.
Those who had put him and the group in a box. He had tried to put out a solo album over the years, but no label sought to pick it up because it was so far removed from the H-Town theme of freak music. Not to mention his relationship with Jessica, that many close sources said was very volatile at times, had soured by this point. It's unclear for certain if the two were engaged at any point. It was apparent that his love for the ladies, however, didn't stop him from overindulgence, and after Jessica caught him with another woman, she promptly ended their relationship. Now, rumors also swirled that she took their baby girl and ran to a land far, far away, which put Dino into an even deeper depression. I'm not sure if that's entirely true. I mean, I would hope not. But I won't put any dirt on anyone's name without the facts, but that's what the rumors said. Unfortunately, for many hardcore fans, not much is known about Dino's life between 1998 and early 2002, outside of his deep depression. What we do know is that he would stay locked away in his big old house that he would eventually fall behind in payments on, and at one point he was forced to file bankruptcy. His manager said he'd be tucked away working on music that the public would never hear, and one day his brother Shazam showed up to his house that at this time had no electricity and basically said, "Hey man, what do you got to show for yourself?"
And you sit in this big old house with no lights on. I'm sick of people taking advantage of us, man. They done took all our money. I said, I don't just perform for money. I said, I perform, it's like therapy for me. And when you come out this house.
Well, you sitting at the damn crib ain't therapeutic for nothing. What?
And start to interact with your fans and talk to them, you gonna feel a whole lot better. And some just say, ding, some clicked in his head.
Motivated, he would spend the last quarter of 2002 getting himself back into shape and into the studio. This time with motivation from his family and his girlfriend, Tesha, who was also musically inclined and dabbled in a bit of recording herself, going by the stage name. This time with motivation from his family and his girlfriend, Tesha, who was also musically inclined and dabbled in a bit of recording herself, going by the stage name Isis, a 1999 graduate of Cypress Fall High and of German descent. She was just turning 22 and would be featured on a number of Dino's demos, like Morning Star.
Awaken me from darkness.
Wake up, baby, it's time to go.
One sweet lovebird every day, she will say.
And also on the song Slow and Easy, which also featured Zapp, as well as Shazam and G.I. in tribute for Roger Troutman, who had passed away 3 years earlier. But there was something else that was motivating Dino, and it was the fact that Tesha was now carrying his baby, and it brought the two of them closer together and closer to God. According to her friends, she had bought him a Bible for his 28th birthday, which was a week after hers in November of 2002. And by early January of 2003, H-Town would be reunited and doing live shows, the last of which was in Shreveport, Louisiana, where Dino had appeared toned and fit and hadn't missed a beat, voice as crisp as ever. It was like they never left. The group was looking at signing a major deal with Atlantic Records. However, Dino had been getting eerie.
Why is he wearing his daughter's shirt though?
Premonitions of himself passing away at a young age, and they were becoming more frequent in the coming weeks. And he would go into the studio and recorded a song called The Day I Die, which was a chilling will and testament of sorts of how he'd want his funeral to be and how he'd want to be remembered. Shazam didn't take too kindly to the recording and felt that Dino shouldn't be talking about death like that. So in an effort not to jar the fans and listeners, He would change some of the lyrics so that it didn't appear that he was talking about himself. But Shazam would later reveal that in one of his last conversations with Dino, that he was asked if he could die young or old, which would he choose? And Shazam said, old and bold. However, Dino replied that he was going to die young, and that whenever God calls, he'll be ready to go. And on January 28th, 2003, the day that H-Town was set to sit down and sign their new record deal, Tesha would pick up Dino from the studio in the early morning hours, and they were in a black Honda Civic and would drive a bit of distance before stopping at a red light when an upcoming SUV traveling at around 80 miles per hour in the opposite direction ran the light and slammed into the Honda Civic on the driver's side, ejecting both Tesh and Dino into a nearby pharmacy parking lot. According to news reports, the occupants in the SUV had just robbed a bank and were being chased by the police. Immediately after the impact, 2 of the occupants jumped out on foot and ran from the scene. A third man, named Juan Diaz, was stuck in the wreckage, which delayed his run time. Eventually, he was able to break free and tried to run, but at that point, the cops were able to catch him and charge him with a felony to render aid. Tesha died instantly, along with her unborn child. Dino was conscious, but passed away en route to the hospital. His body would lay unclaimed in the morgue for 2 days before his brother Shazam had to come and identify him. Word would spread like wildfires in the Houston area, with rumors running rampant and people saying that Dino's head was nearly severed. Other rumors said that the couple was thrown into a river and were disfigured. Rumors stated that the drivers were drunk. Yet there are no accident investigation reports online, nor are there any updates on the case. No word on the sentencing, no mugshot, no word on if they ever caught the other 2 individuals. You know, things that are expected when a celebrity or anyone is killed by someone or a group of people. Though some online have claimed that Juan got 5 years, and others claim he got probation. Again, nothing solid or concrete. Now, years later, a man who claimed to be on the scene at the time of the crash says that the news reports got it all wrong. He said that he was traveling westbound in the right lane when 2 SUVs that appeared to be speed racing were coming up his left. As they all approached the light, one of the SUVs lost control and began to fishtail as Dino and Tesh came to a stop on the other side. But the man said that Dino was the one driving, not Tesh. He said Dino had turned his head slightly before the SUV T-boned his car at 80 to 90 miles per hour. And after the smoke had cleared, the guy ran to see that no one was in the car, but saw Dino lying in the street, trying to get up but was stumbling and didn't appear to be bleeding externally. But after he unbuttoned Dino's shirt, he could tell that he was most likely bleeding internally. That's when his friends who were with him yelled that they had found Tesha face down by the door of the nearby pharmacy. She had been thrown 200 feet from the vehicle. Upon hearing this, Dino attempted several times to get up to get over to her, but the man said he had to make Dino lay down so that he didn't go into shock, and that the group had stayed there until the ambulance arrived. He asked him his name, and Dino replied, Dino, but the guy either wasn't familiar with the group or just hadn't recognized him at the time. It was dark outside. He said that once the paramedics arrived and took over, he and his friends left, but thought that Dino was going to be okay because he was still alive and talking when they left. But he did reveal that the other SUV that was racing doubled back and picked up the occupants of the one that crashed, and that the occupants of both vehicles all fled the scene. Now, I did come across a report from January 31st that said the police are still looking for the Yukon that caused the accident, but with no further explanation on the matter. Now, I was initially confused by this because the SUV that clearly hit them remained at the scene after the crash. So it's possible that this report backs up the other guy's statement that there was a second SUV involved, but it also debunks the theory that they were evading police, unless the police were chasing 2 SUVs. But if that were the case, why didn't the initial report say so? This entire story is strange, and I know several of my followers brought this story to me, hoping that my super sleuth skills could shed some light, but not even I could crack the Morse code on this case. I will say that with the lack of information, even after 20 years, multiple theories run rampant online, including a murder for hire theory, a sacrificial killing theory, and a theory that Dino is still alive and that it was Shazam who died. What? And that Dino got surgery to look like Shazam.
What?
I'm not sure I buy that theory at all. Though it is widely believed that if Dino had been accepting of death whenever God was ready for him, as he previously said, that upon him finding out that Tesh and the baby was dead is when he himself would give up the ghost en route to the hospital. Which I can see that happening. Now, as for how a celebrity who was clearly recognizable could lay unclaimed in a morgue for 2 days, not everyone who works in the medical field will pick up on a celebrity status. You'd be surprised how rare they do. It was apparent that he didn't have any ID on him, but I did do my research and saw several of his family members said that they tried to call him and even went by his house, but they never specified if it was his home phone that they had called him on or if he didn't have a cell phone at the time of his death. This was 2003, so while many people had cell phones, just as many people didn't. And not everyone carried theirs around all the time like we do today. A few of Tesh's close friends claimed that Tesh was a very private person and that they only knew that she was dating a man named Kevin, which many H-Town fans believed to be Dino's legal name, as he implied it was numerous times. However, it's not. It never was. So when Tesh was identified, her family likely told the authorities that the man she was with was named Kevin, and that probably is what delayed identification times, because legally it was still Delando. He never officially changed it to Kevin. Also, many have theorized that the woman that Jessica had caught Dino with all those years ago was Tesha, and that the pair may have met their demise in a revenge killing. Jessica would go on to marry Joe Rogan, a celebrity known for his controversial views years ago was Tesha, and that the pair may have met their demise in a revenge killing. Jessica would go on to marry Joe Rogan, a celebrity known for his controversial views and not so kind statements about black people resembling apes. Just last year, he had a bit of a falling out with artists like India Ari over his constant use of the N-word, hard R, on his podcast. He's since apologized, but he legally adopted Dino's daughter, Kaja, in 2009, so he should know better. But because Joe and Jessica had been together 2 years before Dino's death, many believe that Jess had them eliminated to eradicate any dealings with him, so he should know better. But because Joe and Jessica had been together 2 years before Dino's death, many believe that Jess had them eliminated to eradicate any dealings with Dino through her daughter.
Yeah, I can't see it happening. Joe's crazy. I don't think he's that crazy though. Like, bro, what?
And while I don't share that perspective, let's be clear, I will point out that, again, Kaja was made in her father's image. So anytime Jessica sees her daughter, she sees Dino. Now, many people have pointed out the similarities between Dino's death and the beginning of the Emotions music video.
I'm live from Luke Memorial Hospital. Apparently, one of the members of the group H-Town has been injured in a serious accident. What? It was indeed Dino Hodges. At this time, the doctors are attempting to assess his condition.
Either way,
yo, whoever wrote that music video is stupid. What the? Why would you even put that together? Why would you even put that? Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody got a date. Everybody got a time. But you just prompting this into the universe like, yeah, bro, here, bro. Let me present something to you. You don't think that's going to happen?
His premonitions would manifest themselves, and much like that of another member of a popular R&B group, the manifestations would take place in an auto-related accident. H-Town, the group and the city, as you could imagine, were devastated, and Dino would be laid to rest in February. But before that, the family had gone on several radio stations asking for donations to help bury him, as he died with little to no money. In the end, Luke Skywalker would pay for the funeral as a final
it all comes full circle. That's insane.
Act of service to Dino. But Dino would not receive a headstone until a year later, when the fans had rallied up enough funds.
And then it doesn't all come full circle. What the Luke? Like, bro, you couldn't get the man a headstone?
Funds for one that read H-Town, Kevin Dino Connor, with his birth and death dates. When Shazam tried to come back to Atlantic Records on their deal, well,
I've been having some issues with some labels saying that they maybe wanted me to replace my brother, and I was like, you know, I'm not down with that, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you know what I'm saying? We was getting ready to cut a big deal, but you know, when my brother died, it's like a lot of labels more like, hey, you know, we'll do it, but you gotta put another member in the group. And I was just like, I'm not down with that. I really not even sing no more. I just have to put another member in my group right now, and I'm just not ready for that.
Them replacing Dino is inconceivable. It just can't happen and won't happen. But the group pressed ahead and would release Imitations of Life to little fanfare in September of 2004, which featured many of the material that Dino had been working on by himself, which would be remixed and remastered with Shazam and G.I. adding vocals here and there. But it was a little over 18 months later, and most of the buzz from the group had died down. They would reunite a few times for shows over the years, and fans still supported them, but it was obvious that things just weren't the same.
How you been doing, baby, since the trash closet your brother?
The fact that they stayed that fit is crazy.
Well, actually, me and G.I., that's G.I. right there. I'm just saying, you know what? Listen. Now listen. This is where we go from this shit over again.
They would go on to release Knockin' Your Heels Off, a video that featured Jodeci and Pretty Ricky, and it made a little buzz, like I say, buzz. And in 2015, they would premiere their official unsung documentary, followed by the release of their album Child Support, which they feel is an ode to their fans who conceived to the group's music and felt that the group owed them child support. However, it was all fun and games until Shazam himself would be arrested for owing.
That's why the album was called Child Support. He was trying to pay it. It didn't hit though.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars in back child support.
What's wrong with y'all?
He would start a GoFundMe to support the release of Dino's unheard.
Well, you should have started a GoFundMe for your kids. Child support. Oh God, what the hell?
Music, but told fans that it would take about $250K and that he needed the money by December. As a teaser, he would release an EP consisting of 4 of Dino's unreleased songs. 3 of them have featured Tesha, and one track in particular was called Hot Jeans, in which she did some rapping, and many compared her style to that of Left Eye. I will say her voice is very animated, and while I wasn't the biggest fan of the track, I do see where they were going with it. My favorite track, of course, is You're My Morning Star. And since we're here, I might as well tell y'all about the other song on the EP called Poon Juice. Not prune juice,
Yeah, prune juice.
but something else. And as a man who's a diehard fan of the juice when it's right, I wholeheartedly approve this message. Don't come for me in these comments now. Now, y'all knew what it was when y'all clicked on an H-Town related video. So don't take it up with me, take it up with the group. But yeah, Poon Juice. It's a nice little record. Go listen to it if you ever get the chance. Now, the EP got a good reception from what I heard, but in the end, Shazam would raise $275 from his GoFundMe, which was roughly about $249,725 short of achieving his goal. And with that, no new music from Dino's archives has materialized since. However, the group would be inducted into the R&B Hall of Fame in 2019, and in
Do that come with bread? Cause they need it.
2021, they would release another single called Super Love, which is a decent track. I like it. Though they did Shorty wrong in the video by telling her they'd pull up, but instead got sidetracked and caught up being in the presence of other ladies. A damn shame. But anyways, today, the group still continues to tour, as Shazam shares most of the lead vocals with the ladies in the audience, while G.I. focuses mainly on the dancing. While Dino's presence is sorely missed, and it's apparent each show, his remaining members would commemorate him with Dinobot, a mascot of sorts that joins the men on stage from time to time. And while it's heartfelt, I think it would have been better.
What kind of clown show? Bruv, what the hell? You would have been better off with a damn hologram, but I know y'all can't generate the bread for that.
To do like how TLC does, with Left Eye on the screen, performing her parts while the group dances.
Yeah, that'd be better too. That's actually smart.
To it, since no one can take her place. No one can do Dino parts justice except Dino. And it's a shame, man, because with the voice he had, he should still be here, doing these 90s themed reunion tours, singing his heart out with all the passion in the world, and enjoying the legacy he created. But instead, it was taken from him by a couple knuckleheads who had zero regard for human life. Now, Dino's daughter, Kaja Rose, today, is a singer herself, and she's got a nice catalog of R&B and Latin music, so check her out sometime. And just a side note, I know I had mentioned Roger Troutman a few times in this documentary, as Zappin' Roger was sampled and featured on 4 of H-Town's albums. Now, many of you know that Roger was shot and killed by his brother and former band member.
Nigga, what? Nigga, what? What?
Larry in 1999, before Larry would turn the gun on himself.
Larry, what?
But to add to that pain, Roger's son, Roger Jr., would suffer a head injury and passed away on January 22nd, 2003, just days before Dino and Tesh. And the cycle would repeat itself once more when his daughter, singer Lexi Allie J, would succumb to an overdose on New Year's of 2020. I gotta do a documentary on her too, because her life was very troubled. It's just something to think about, with death coming in threes. I'll leave you with one final note. There was a song that Dino did called Stop Living in Color off the Imitation album, and it was a message to naysayers who hadn't approved of Dino's relationships.
Oh.
And now I know what some of y'all are thinking, but as I've stated before, Dino dated women of all races. The only requirement was that she was God-fearing. But he was also very private in his romance, and it just so happens that the only 2 girlfriends that we know of was the one he gave life with and the one he entered death with.
Right.
Though a few online sources had listed Tesh as Dino's fiance, it's unclear if they were truly engaged, though some fans feel that Dino wasn't never gonna marry her due to his depression and feeling that his death was imminent, theorizing that he didn't have time to look forward to or plan for the future. But that's not how depression works, guys. You can still set forth, plan for, and conquer great things, all the while feeling hopeless like there will be no tomorrow. Ask me how I know. I've done it many a time in the past myself, and the fact that he was ready to sign this deal the day he died meant he was going to embrace whatever came, life or death. If you or anyone you know has any additional information about the life of Dino, stories of the group H-Town, or any information on his death and the case thereof, please feel free to share in the comments below. Rest in eternal peace, Dino Connor and Tesha Wysand.
And the baby.
This is Justified by Jury. Y'all know how to hit that like. Y'all know how to hit that subscribe. If you want to, do so. And I'll catch y'all in the next video.
Okay. That was good, little. I just got some good information about H-Town. I got some more stuff to put in the playlist. I want y'all to like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all know the vibe. We'll be back with another video very soon. Love y'all. See y'all later.
To live is to conquer. To live in life. To live in life. Hey. To live is to. Hey. To live is to. Hey. Like I just want to conquer. Like I just want to. To live is to conquer. Hey. How this pain got me feeling accomplished.